You went too fast. Okay, now you. Oh.
No. I slammed into my. We're live. Hello. Hi. Good morning. I put a spin on this one and it didn't work. But what can I say? Hello. Welcome to the show. We do have a very special guest joining us, but they will be on the screen in a moment after we introduce them. I'm mostly saying that for them in the kind of green room area in case, because I know they don't have the stream open. That
also because I pushed the wrong button.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I thought we were doing a little 2-under before we jumped in, which we can do.
No, we can, but I genuinely just pushed the wrong button. That's literally all it was.
You were distracted by my spinning, as graceful as it was.
That and the show that's happening behind me.
Yeah, gotta pay extra. Welcome to Ben and Declan On A Roll. This week we are talking all things Candela Obscura, which is a system both of us profess to know very little about, and therefore we couldn't possibly talk about it and give you advice running into, not that you can only run it in October, but it seems like it's a good time to run it as people get into the sort of scary and spooky and horror and thriller mood. So instead of us ignorantly, what likely would have happened, we would have skimmed the rules and tried to blag our way through knowing how to play.
We'd never do that.
we have such integrity on this show.
God,
how dare
weeks into production in episodes.
Yeah, if it's not spinning awkwardly in, it's cats licking themselves for your pleasure. That shows the integrity of us too. That's our reputation and the level it needs to remain at. But no. We have invited along a very special guest, which is a friend of the show. You might have come across them during recent D8 drives. You might have met them at previous adventure cons, or this might be your very first introduction to them. But let's give a very big On A Roll warm welcome to our special guest, Amélie.
And I pushed the right button this time.
Perfect.
Oh, I like our new kind of video gamey names. Let's keep them.
Oh, I did that because I couldn't find the other font.
I like them.
Happy accident.
Yeah. The only thing it doesn't allow Amélie is an accent on a letter, so apologies.
It's like I can't see it, so it doesn't bother me. It's fine.
Right. Okay.
It's all right.
But it is there.
Okay.
If everyone at home could just get a little bit of Tipex, and whether it's your phone or PC, just kind of put a little accent over the E there, be much appreciated.
That would be great. Thank you so much. The father needs to be there.
Yeah. What is it called in French? Just an accent or?
Accent aigu, because we have the other one that goes the other way as well. So to differentiate them, this is the accent aigu. So yeah, I tend to say the father. It's easier because Irish people don't know what a father is. So
exactly that. We sure do. Sorry, Declan, I've been talking loads, so I don't know. I knew just about to take a sip of tea, so this is a perfect time to throw to you.
Okay, great. This episode is called Ben and Declan On A Roll with Candela Obscura. And as Ben has already pointed out, we don't really know a whole pile about the system. We're both familiar in that it exists, and we've a vague idea. So when we say on a roll with it, it's more, oh God, we're holding this thing. We don't know what we're doing with it. We better not drop it as we run downhill right towards Amélie, who will then tell us everything we should have known about it from the start. The one thing that Ben and I do is horror. We both like horror. Well, your mystery and suspense stuff, and I love a good kind of horror game. Do you mind? Because can I just throw in a question straight away? Because because this is actually kind of the one thing, Amélie, that having watched your game on D8 Dungeon Drive and listening to other podcasts that are not Candela Obscura but are in that thread of things. Like, I guess what's the difference between Candela Obscura and we'll say Call of Cthulhu? Because they're both eldritch as far as, again. If my brain went, okay, these are eldritch, why would I pick one over the other?
Okay, so here's the thing. I do not know Call of Cthulhu that well. Okay. So, but I mean, I know what Call of Cthulhu is. I did play it once. So different system in terms of definitely how you play it. Candela the setting is, again, I can't really compare, but the setting is very versatile. It's both set in a specific point in time in this specific world, but it does leave a lot. So you can do Eldritch for sure. You can, and I do love weird horror, but you can also do a lot of different things with it. And it does have that investigation feel to it a lot. Which again, so sorry because I'm good thing to know. One thing to know about me is I'm a relative newbie in terms of TTRPGs. I've only been GMing for 3.5 years. I've only done a handful of systems. I'm always trying to learn to do new ones. I've played Call of Cthulhu once, so I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert and that I can compare the two. But yeah, you can definitely do Eldritch. You can do a lot of things with that setting for sure. So why would you pick it over that? I'd say play both and see but that would be my answer to everything. Why not both?
Yeah, because I think you've hit the nail on the head. If Candela has that sort of this can be transferred into many different kind of genres of horror. Like Cthulhu it's eldritch, like it's eldritch in nature, and it's eldritch investigation. I guess that might be what I've been kind of foggy about. I think when looking at the both and kind of watching them is that I guess everything I've kind of consumed from a Candela point of view, and everything I've consumed from a Cthulhu point of view has been the group, the party, the team are investigating a thing, but wildly differently. Like, sometimes, like a lot of the Cthulhu stuff, it tends to be, well, there's actually this group that are doing this thing over here. And a lot of what I've seen in Candela is that's just happening because it just happens. And, we can't really fix it, but we can put a Band-Aid on it and we might do that.
Yeah, that's very much that the whole idea of Candela Obscura is this it's this investigation that is trying to contain the supernatural, the phenomenon as much as possible, but can't really fix it for sure. And there are factions. That's definitely one of the things. There's so many layers to that game. It's one of the things that I love about it. There's different factions. You could do your whole little science horror, or you can do your smugglers that are smuggling artifacts and that you have to try and stop. You have your religious factions as well that play into it. There's or you can there's the whole thing with the setting itself, the government. You can going out against them. That is the way the society is built. So there's a lot. But yes, the source of the supernatural itself is something that is there and that's no party is going to be able to fix. No one has been able to fix in 2000 and in thousands of years. It's there, and we're nearly making it worse, which is fun.
For me, that kind of potentially answers what the difference in a type of session would be between your Cthulhu's versus your Candela Obscuras. And like one of the, again, I wouldn't know too much about this, but I always feel like in a Cthulhu game, it's like there's always just outside the realm of reality a monster waiting to break through. Whereas this is just like, this is the world you live in. You survive in it. You're part of the secret organization who's like sent out in various different missions and stuff, and you can kind of theme it whether you want to do a sort of Sherlock Holmesy sort of thing, when you want to go like pure rescuers and be part of the Rescuer Society, a sort of like Hemlock Grovey and Artemis Fowley, like Supernatural, whatever. There's enough flexibility in the system and the narrative style to actually shape story around player versus story around like narrative. And they're definitely games I lean towards myself, because I often find sometimes DMs can be a little bit rigid, where it's like, I've got this cool story and you're going to play through it. Whereas what I love about role-playing games is like, if the party decides to open a bowling alley, then the campaign is about the bowling alley that survived during the story. It's not like, how do we get them out of this bowling alley? And a DM, sometimes our job is to like, right, how do I bring the narrative to you? And how do I respect your choices and questions and wants and wishes, and put enough thread there for you to follow, which it sounds like Candela Obscura is perfect for that. So I'm actually going to jump. We had a little pre-show chat, but given that you were running Candela, had a couple of cons coming up, you ran it during DH Drive, And I know the importance, we were chatting a little bit pre-stream about the importance of session zeros. How hard is it as a GM to kind of come in slightly loose around what your plot might be if it is so player and player focused?
Okay, so I've done 2 session zeros. One was for what was supposed to be the one shot that turned into a campaign of Candela. Typical. And for that, I had an idea because my partner had gifted me the rule book, and I'd seen something in it. And I was like, I need to run this. I have an idea, and I have a group of friends who love horror. Let's just jump in. And so I knew what I wanted to do, but I also wanted to see what they came up with as players. And then once we did this session 0, which I can talk more about, I also saw that there's a question on combat, which I'd be happy to answer later. I was just trying to keep one thread of thought at one time. So what I was saying was, sorry, that's the thread of thought gone. Yeah, as I saw what characters they created, and then I tweaked what I had in mind to make sure that all of their characters had a reason to be in the assignment, got something out of it, even if it's just an emotional connection to one of the NPCs, something to engage them, and which is how I roped for all them and myself into getting a longer campaign. And for the drive one, all I had was a title. And I had a bit of a preconceived idea of where I wanted to go with it. And then we did the session 0, and I asked what they were interested in. It wasn't at all what I had planned, number 1. And 2, it all kind of leaned a certain way. And I just scrapped what I had and built the thing pretty much from scratch and watched a lot of Swole horror stuff, including the 3-hour documentary, which was brilliant, and built that from there. And it's funny because I'm someone who loves structure. So that thing of you say the GM has the idea of where the story goes, that would be my primary instinct as a person. But as a GM, I'm trying not to be like that. So GMing things like Candela has helped me embrace the chaos a bit more. And always when I prep for this, I have loose ideas, certain beats I need to hit, but leaving it open and leaving it open to the chaos the players are going to bring is an important part of it, which takes some getting used to, but I really love it.
Nice. It seems like a really good system to flex those muscles as well, where it's like, it's not only is it built around, like sometimes the GMs end up that way because the mechanics of the game force you to be that way. You know, a lot of early D&Ds where it's like, you better draw your dungeon, you better draw your map, and you better just put stuff in the way because there wasn't the narrative tools in place, I think, from a rulebook point of view to facilitate more player agency or otherwise. So like, you've got a long history of your likes of Dungeons and Dragons leading you into come with your module and run, and the players run through it, versus, you know, what's been happening in the last, say, 5 to 10 years, where it's like, I just want a sandbox and I do want some structure, and I do want, like, this is not to say that the DM is simply just a if this then that machine, but there's a bit more scope. And I find it quite freeing as a GM when the players give me the ideas. It's like a magic trick to me when I'm a player, but like when a player gives you an idea and you weave it into the game, they kind of forget it was their idea. They're like, how did you? It's like, I listened to you. I just heard you say it 5 minutes ago and I put it in there. And it happens to me all the time as a player. I'm like, how did you know? It's like, and there's this feeling of all being on the same wavelength and very much telling a collaborative story. So it's a system I do want to play because it feels like it's, I mean, I guess that's the reputation that Darrington Press as a company are trying to push out as well, that we are more into selling narrative games with role play elements than traditional, like, number crunchy, combat-y battle games. And it feels, myself and Declan played in a Daggerheart game a while back, just that had that same kind of element of looser on the kind of everything has a rule, I suppose, is the way to do it. And like, I started in 3.5. Like, don't get me wrong, I love pouring through player handbooks and looking at like spells and like having my Excel sheets of like, oh, at this level I'm going to take this, and I like that. But for an adult who just needs to pick up a game and run it with very little like anything else getting in the way, a game like Candela Obscura or Daggerheart feels like the right place to be like, here's our cards, this is all you need to do. It's more about your imagination than it is about the radius of the cone of the spell that you're trying to cast.
Exactly. It's as the rule book says, it's a conversation at the table. It's what I'm very interested in is the collaborative storytelling. And I'm someone I'm a writer as well. So I've done the whole storytelling on my own. So it's really fascinating to be doing it with other people. And that's something I love when I got to run it. I ran the first assignment I ran with my group. I then remade that assignment for a con, for AdventureCon this year. And it was my first time GMing at a con. And I had not expected that feeling of having 5 people, 6 including me, who didn't know each other, who sat down at the same table, who learned the system together. And by the end of the game, we're all working together, playing, collaborating, and falling in love with the system, with the story. It was incredible. I just got out of it on a high. It was brilliant.
That was going to be one of my questions, Amélie. As a game where collaboration and the players' involvement in kind of the setup and the building and all that, does it make for a good first foray? I know you're saying these players were new to you, but were they new to role playing? Could you see somebody who's never played D&D or Pathfinder or even a one shot being able to pick up Candela and go, yeah, I think I can do this?
I'd say on the mechanics point of it, it's pretty simple, but on the role play, you have to be kind of open to the idea of role playing to a certain. Now, that said, as a GM, I always say, be as as you can role play as much or as little as you're comfortable with. If you're just like, oh, my character says this, okay, go with it. But yeah, there is a lot of freedom to it, which could be a little bit frightening. As well, especially since, and it's something I do a lot. I'll be like, the players will ask me, okay, what happens? Well, you tell me. What does the monster look like? You tell me. I don't know.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah, fill in the blanks, which I think is really great. I really love that idea. I got that from when Spencer Stack ran Candela for Critical Role. The first 3 games by Matt Mercer were great, but really it's Spencer Stark himself who got me to fall in love with the way he was doing it, which was the way he was narrating it as if from a film point of view. I love that. And also this idea of bringing in the players as much as possible and leaving a lot of blanks for them and asking them to describe rooms and things like that. And yeah, I push that into a lot of the time. I will ask the players, okay, what are you fighting? Just I don't decide that, you do. And then what's really fun to see happen is they will build this monstrosity and they'll all get carried away and make it worse and worse and worse. And then I start hitting them with it and I can't take the blame because you did that yourselves.
You set yourselves up for that.
That's it.
It does make me think, given that Candela, it's not like it's a system. I know there's a system out there, Genesis, which is just like apply this to any theme, any yada. You want to do a Western, you can do it with this system. You want to do a sci-fi, you can do it with this system. Candela specifically sets out to be kind of like horror, mystery, thriller. And with that much collaborative space at the table, how do you, or even do you, if you threw it to someone and they're like, what does the monster look like? It's like big flappy shoes. And you're like, and then suddenly the tone changes. So how do collectively, whereas usually on a GM or storyteller or DM to tone manage? Do you have any tips for anyone who might be picking up the system to kind of keep everyone on the same page? I mean, starting with the obvious, which is before you start the game, guys, we're aiming for this time. But
that would be it. Yeah, I think that would be really that's what we're aiming for. And then maybe if they go for the silly thing, you can make a silly thing scary. Then you can yes and or yes but and just make it kind of bring it back. Either yourself or see the other players do it. And if it's what the table wants, I guess at some point you have to find a middle ground. Now that's it. I have an idea I have thought about it. I have an idea for doing Candela Obscura as a horror comedy at some point. So that would be really fun to explore. But it will take some homebrewing. But I'm looking forward to trying that. But yeah, I think I'd say people who go into these games at cons will probably want some horror. They probably don't want the the pair of shoes. But again, it hasn't happened, but we'll see. I'm afraid I don't know if I gave good advice on that, but
no, I think that's it's a tough thing to. I mean, even in your run-and-mill D&D kind of games, it's gonna be tough. I know half of Declan's time DMing romancing is getting us back on the tone. And even being like, guys, it's this kind of episode. And we're like, yeah. And he's like,
it's not, and then they don't listen, and then we have to do that again.
One more time with less feeling.
No, just with the right feelings.
Yes.
It's one of those games, I think, where we are talking about kind of collaboration and the table being kind of open to, like Amélie, you were saying there, you allow for a lot of the players to invest in that space. When it comes to this as a system for campaigns, then, like, where do you then find the balance? Because we talk about the table and it's what the table wants. The GM is part of that. It's often that thing of, well, the table is the players. Well, actually, it's also the person who's at the front of that. And you start, you've this idea for a campaign. And yes, people are going to get involved. People are going to invest. People are going to. Where do you then see yourself, let's say, taking the reins back?
I think it's kind of in the planning of like arcs. I don't have like necessarily specific arcs as in, oh, this and this and that has to happen at end of arc. It's kind of like ongoing thing with some episode, let's say some assignments that will be a bit more monster of the week in between, because sometimes we need that, and sometimes the monster of the week nearly kills everyone, but that's okay. And others that will be more, I really like having my episodes based on the player, like because I do see it as episodes. So I've kind of done most of my players at the in the circle of my home game. We've done one thing that was focused on them, on their element of their backstory, or on something that they did that has consequences. And yeah, and I think it's in deciding what the consequences are that I get the power back. It's like, oh, so you've really annoyed the scientists there. So okay, so what am I going to do myself that goes into the overarching story that I'm trying to tell with you, the themes that I kind of want to hit. What will be the consequence of that? Because I do still, it's not just the players running, as you said, it's me as well. I do get to decide the consequences when I don't decide to let them decide.
I guess because as you were chatting earlier on, we were talking about there's a lot of role play or room for that kind of, and less on the mechanics. Does the system have that sort of, well, this is what you want, but we have to check the dice first, aspect? Because that's one of the big things in D&D. It's the player describing this big monologue of like, I'm trying to persuade the crowd to join us to stop the thing. Okay, roll for persuasion, and I'm going to give you advantage because that was a really good monologue. Oh, you rolled 2 2s. Okay. How, like, does it have that issue, or
no? So the thing is, one, you only roll if there's going to be a consequence. So I'm not making them roll for every single thing. So let's say, if you go back to your example, so I would have 2 options there as a GM. I could make them not roll and say, okay, what you just said, of course, you persuade them. Or I could say, you roll sway. This is low stakes, and even on a failure, you will get something. You may not get everything that you want, but you will get something. I have that power as a GM to not just give the stakes, but the possible consequences.
Okay, because that's interesting, because that's something I've often found myself doing in, because there is that worry that, oh crap, they just rolled really bad. Okay, that's a hard stop in today's session then, while I desperately scramble to pull all this back together. So it is something that I do find myself doing even on a failed roll. It's, you were looking for it, you haven't found the real thing, but actually you spot grooves, so it might encourage somebody else to come over and give a help, or You're going to spend a little bit. It's going to take you a little bit longer, and now a guard is approaching because it just took you that little bit longer to do what you were supposed to do. So that I can really, really appreciate that it's built in, because I'm pretty sure that's not built into D&D. I am not an expert in D&D.
No, I've brought same as you have brought it into D&D. Now, especially since GMing, and I'm like, okay, I'll give you something, not everything, but I'll give you something.
It's going to help. It's going to help the game continue without it being like, oh, you failed. The rolls don't matter. Well, it can be that thing, and it's one of my things I quite like about the Powered by the Apocalypse style games, in that even if you kind of don't roll particularly well, you get to do it, but I can kind of inflict, like you said, a consequence on you on this. So I would hope that that's something. It's always one of the things I love about learning new systems is, hey, that could work for my game, or that's going to work for this. Let's do a bit of that.
I've noticed that a bit with all Darrington games, that they think they set out to make sure that and the D&D example they often use is like, you're an expert rogue, you got a lockpick, and it's a natural one. It's like, how did I not do the thing I'm really good at? And like, look, I understand rules is written in D&D. Theoretically, I think it's only attack rolls that have crit fails and crit successes. But every game I've ever played in, immediately the house rule comes in that 10s and that 20s and 1s are fun. And because they are, that's the stakes of it. So like, yeah, sure, I can roll a 1, add my plus 12, still get a 13, but it doesn't. It kind of means that dice is just a scale without any like super high, super lows. And at least in what I've seen from what's coming out of Darrington Press at the moment, they still have those crit fails and crit successes, but in a way that you're not narratively failing at something that should like make sense for your character. Like there's enough baked into either backstories or like different types of loadouts or different types of like abilities that it's like, you will never, like, if you're the face of the party, you're not gonna like trip over, crash into the ground and eat shit because of a roll. It's like you might have accidentally narratively stumbled across something when you're like, me and you were buds, and it's like they do not like that kind of attitude. And it's like, and that's where it's like, right, okay, you might fumble, but you'll never like, it will still be a fumble that isn't understandable one narratively. Which it's I think currently, like present day today, I prefer. I don't know enough yet to be like, but I kind of do like that. Like, yeah, even a rogue can absolutely like crack their stuff on just randomly. Like, I do like the idea of even the best people in the world have these awful things happen to them because it feels higher stakes, and also because like we do it in our real lives. Like it's things can go wrong in a way that you just fate has this way of like pulling the rug from underneath you, or that gust of wind that gets you just beyond the edge of the cliff to hang on. So I'm personally on the fence on whether like what the guys in Darrington are doing narratively it makes for a better game, but I fully get behind why they're doing it.
Yeah, I think it's a balance. Like you do have to have some failed rolls in there. I think it's the idea of to keep the story going even when the rolls fail. So you do get a failure, you don't get what you want, but you may have something else coming. One thing that comes up in the prep, well, in how they explain how to prep, is you could have these scenes and how they, well, not so much explained, but say you could prep, and that's how I do it. You have these different scenes, and you have a reveal in each scene, which is one piece of information that your players and your investigators, their characters must get, however they get to it. And that's kind of the only thing that's kind of more or less setting stone, because that's what you need to advance. So even if they fail everything, they will have consequences. They'll take marks. They might even take scars. They'll take a beating, but they'll get that piece of information so that we're not just spending 2 hours on trying to open a door. As fun as that is, I do love my D&D, and I do love seeing the characters fail to open a door for 2 hours. It's hilarious, but in this, it's nice to have the story progressing and to maybe worse stakes and worse outcome, but at least it's moving.
I like that they've baked in for the GM's responsibility, you have to reveal this. Most of the time, anytime it's like a mystery, the advice you see online is make sure there's 3 or 4 ways to solve it. And I always feel like it's way more, like not way more, but it's more DM prep, and you're kind of hoping they come across one. Whereas the directness of like, get them to reveal this any means or anyhow is still quite open creatively. And it's all made me think that like struggling to open the door for 2 hours can be funny and memorable, but it's not something that like in years from now you're going to like reminisce if you meet up. It's like that time we couldn't open a door. It will be the adventure and the stakes. And what I'm realizing about everything moving the plot, but just adding more consequence, is there's a slow build of suspense. Yeah. And that I think is what makes it brings me back to the tone thing we were talking about. It's like, yeah, sure. You're sure. And you can, as a GM, you can be like, things are going well. Eerily well, and you're like, don't tell that, man. stop doing this, like. And I think that's where you might be able to do it. Is there anything else? Sorry, you go ahead.
No, just to build on that. I do love when my players fail a roll or get a mixed success. I love mixed successes. I'm like, no, and they're like, what's the consequence? Nothing for now. It's just they don't like it. I love it.
Declan, close your ears. You didn't hear that.
No. I got that. Stealing it, using it. No, everything's great. Everything's great right now. The heartbreak.
The question I was going to ask is: was there anything in the rules, in the mechanics, or the system that like took you by surprise? That you're like, oh, I've never come across that before, or the reveal is what made me think of it as a question. It's like I've never seen this. They probably exist, but for me, in my ignorance, I'm like, that's new to me. Was there anything for you that you were like, ooh, I like what they're doing? I know their whole dice system is sort of like a proprietary system, but if it's that, I don't know anything about it, so I'd love to know about it. But if it's something else, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Again, because I'm very new to the RPG, and this was like the second system, the only system at that time I GM'd outside of D&D. Kind of everything was like, the dice system, yes, it's D6 based, 6 is a success, 3 or lower is a failure, 4 or 5 is a mix. I think I liked how cooperative it is, and the fact that you can give each other, instead of giving help and giving advantage, every player has a pool of drives that they can give each other. There's also a gilded die, which is I would need to maybe go through the whole system. One thing I liked is, again, to go back to the prep and how the assignments are kind of done, how they do them in the book. And I've taken that for my own prep. Is like you have your title, you have your premise, which is basically the info that the players will get in within the first few minutes. Mm-hmm. And then you have what is actually going on here. And that's you as the GM that's like, okay, this is what's behind the mystery. So that is something that I would like to prep usually. I have an idea of what's going, especially with the players that I have. Randy, you know yourself that if I don't have everything, like my partner who's watching, I know, like if I don't have an answer to every single question at the end, he asks me at the end, he's going to be frustrated, and he's not the only. So I need to know what's going on, and then you have the details, and they also incorporate atmosphere to that. So what's the tone for your game? Like I have one open here, like atmosphere is dark ocean, winding stairs, old libraries. So you have that. So I really like that way of prepping things that incorporates the tone into it as well. So it's but again, as I said, I feel a little bit unqualified to answer that question given the very little here. Like everything was new to me. One thing that I really love that I've been meaning to talk about is we've talked about Session Zero, we've talked about players. One thing that's very important during Session Zero is not just players building their characters, but building their relationships to each other. I really love that. So they'll all pick, and one thing that's really great is those are one-sided.
Right. Yes.
So one character could be, you're my lover, I absolutely adore you, and the other is like, you're my enemy. The only thing I can put a stop of is like the family relationship. We probably have to be on the same page usually for those.
Yes, like so you're my father. Nope.
What?
There is something in that where it's just like no sin of mine.
And then there's a question. They can pick and answer a question together. And there's the same thing for the circle. So it's really from the Session Zero building a coherent team. So yeah, I don't get to bring that into cons, but it's nice to bring it to the home game, and I also did it for the G8 Drive and see what the relationships come up, and it really helps the players get invested in their character, but also each other's characters. So it's really fun.
I think it's a lovely. It's something there. That's one of those things that I've taken into every game, regardless of system going forward. That pre relationship. So like for me, as like from a player point of view, it just gives me a starting point for roleplay. So it's like, you all meet in a bar. It's like, well, I'll probably enter with this person because I know I have a strong pre-existing relationship with them, and I'll probably like clock this person and go over with this opening line because I know that like the last job you did together didn't go well. It immediately just gives you the kind of like, you have some nerve showing your face here if you want to like take that attitude towards it, or like, okay, so we pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves off, like let's get back together as a team. It wasn't anyone's fault. That kind of, those are the pre-work, and I see it more and more with players. There used to be a reputation that players just turn up and kind of faff about, but I've seen more and more like pre-work for players who like, they turn up, they're ready, they've done their relationships, they've thought about it. Sometimes there's a double edge to that because you can almost like have in your mind what you think the session's going to be, and then it gets quite inflexible, and you're like, you got to still have that open mind going in. But all of those things from the system have just confirmed to me that the biggest tool for GMs running it is the skill of learning, if that is true, what else is true. So it's whether it's consequences for players, well, if that's true, what else is true, or the reveals having a why behind it. It seems like all your notes will just be like, if that, then this, if that, then this, which just builds it out in a way that doesn't have like the trouble with mysteries is the logic needs to be fairly solid. Because otherwise you're like, well, hang on a second, that person wasn't even in the bank that day. And you're like,
oh yeah, I know. I hate that. I hate that.
Is there
There's one video game I hate because of that.
Yeah, right. So is there anything you do when you're prepping or as a GM to like avoid human error, or is that baked into the system to help you not stumble into, is anything that's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense? I did it to Declan the other in a session recently. I'm like, hang on a second, you said this, and he was like, I know. And I'm like, oh, damn it, I thought about it. Interesting. But is there tools there? Is there advice, or is there experience you've had where it's like, this is just the way to approach, making a game that's smarter than the limits of your own intelligence, I suppose, is the toughness.
Yeah, I think just myself. It's just myself as a GM. I do love my prep. Like I do love going in, and again, because I know my players, I know there'll be questions. I do like having the background kind of solid, at least in my head, even if some things don't come up in the game, and I can always tell them later, and I will, because I will be asked about it. So yeah, I like having, okay, the core of the mystery. This is kind of what's going on, and then we'll fill in the details. But I have the line of, oh, the artifact went from this person to that person to that, and this is what it does. So I kind of like that. I don't think there's not much in the book for that, but that's just how I approach it, and also end up doing a lot of research. I mean, I spent hours on the airships, and what does an airship crash look like, and what does it look like when it's not with the inflammable stuff. But that's, again, because also I know my players, and I also have a player that especially that's is very good at not just thinking outside the box, but taking the box, making you empty all the box, and then taking all the contents and building a bazooka with it. He's brilliant. So I have to either have something kind of in mind in the background, or be able to just, okay, what do you want there to be in the room that you're going to build me something incredible with? So yeah, so there's a flexibility in it. I do like having some of the background prep done, but also leaving things. I basically did for that player, for this character, I did basically an escape game where he got captured and had to escape the scientists on the lair, while the others were also trying to reach him. And the way I had it set up is like, oh, brief idea of what's in the rooms, and let's see what he comes up with. and what the others come up with, except by the time the other guys arrived, he had decimated the whole lair. And so that, yeah, that happened.
Amélie, you said you've been kind of DMing for the last three and a half years.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, you love learning new systems and stuff like that. For that GM who's kind of, looking at Candela Obscura and thinking, I think that might be my next system. Like, if you could go back, to 3.5 years ago and have a chat with yourself before you picked up Candela, and you could say, like, actually, look, here's the one thing you really should know, or here's 2 tips to get that game ready, instantly, or sort of, to kind of to be aware of going into it. Is there any kind of advice you'd give yourself then, and for that GM that's kind of hovering over Candela now as I might play this?
Yeah, as I already said, don't be afraid to leave things open. And I think trust your creativity and trust your ability to improvise and trust that you will get things from your players. Trust that spark will go. And that's why running for the D8 drive was a little bit scary, because I was like, I have to trust that in a month's time, within a month of having the session 0, I'll have an idea. And I did, and I had an idea because I did run the game, so it went okay. So it's just, trust yourself to improvise, and don't be afraid of just leaving things open. It's scary, but it will be worth it, and it'll make for memorable moments.
It is, because like if we're saying leave things open, it's often that we're leaving kind of threads dangling, and sometimes it, as a GM, it can be that, like, oh, but wait, I didn't tie that off, or that's not finished, and I don't know if the players care about it, or like, do you go back to those open things yourself as the GM? Like, let's say that the hook is turned out to the players, but again, they have their own agency, they have their own thoughts, they have their own ideas. Here's a hook, and it's not that it's important, because actually we've got to the reveal anyway, but I had planned this as a thing. Do you often look at those kind of, we'll say, loose threads and kind of pick them back up yourself, and I'm going to weave it in here again? Or is it best to leave those kind of where they fell, and, like, look, the players weren't concerned with it, it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I think it's up to the GM. It kind of depends on what hooks. Yeah, I guess if there was something that I wanted to use later, I would use later for a one shot, or for something that I know is not going to come back. I could sometimes just tell my players afterwards. I'm like, oh yeah, also you didn't stumble upon this, but that was there. I don't see any rules against it, and it can be fun as well. I've done that with D&D with dungeons. I roll. It's my third time GMing Call of the Netherdeep, and there's like a few big dungeons in there where they'll get through maybe half the rooms realistically, and like, oh, this is all the stuff that you missed, and could have been fun. So it's just, I don't know, I guess that's my way of dealing with that, and dealing with that frustration. So this is the thing that didn't make it in the game, but that's okay, I think.
It's such a tough thing as a DM, where they've only scratched the surface of what you've prepped or thought, and it just I can't stress enough, it does suck. And like, but then also as a player, I know when anytime a DM said it, I'm like, I had fun. I don't know why you're worried about it. Like, I've been on both sides, and when I'm on the player side, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I had fun. Don't worry about it. So I found, funny enough, my little way to get around that is a little DM side chat. So like, it's like a support group for DMs where we voice note each other, and it's like, this is what they didn't find, and it still, for me, scratches that itch of like, I said it to someone, I got it out there, I did it, but it's not spoiling in the group, because it's like, hey, maybe I'll bring this back, or maybe I'll bring it in somewhere else, because it is like an itch you have to scratch when you have an idea and they don't find something, and it's, I don't know how to describe the feeling of, but you didn't look at the cool thing that I made for you.
Yeah.
But
I guess with them,
Sorry,
I guess with Candela, I can also make them look at the cool thing.
Yes.
Like, even, okay, yeah, you failed that, so maybe you didn't see the thing you wanted to see, But you did see that thing that's kind of way worse. So I'm one going to give you a mark for seeing that, or you're going to trip on your way to that. I'm going to give you a mark, but you see that thing that I really wanted you to see, whether or not it's the reveal. But I guess, yeah, there is some stuff like that. I can bring in the cool stuff, the really cool stuff with Candela. I can bring that in if I want to. I do have that power, and I'll take it if I have to.
It's such a skill. It's one of those, like, if you're a GM who has the skill, like, I envy you, because I often feel it's like, can I make a nature check? And I'm like, yeah, cool. Here's some history, because you need to know. It's like, that doesn't feel related to the role I just made. It's like, shut up and have your dinner. Like, just eat the lore that I prepared for you.
That's it. It helps with Candela. It's them asking me, can I make that check? It's like what you want to do, and then we decide to. I tell you, or what I really like, we decide together what kind of check it is.
Yeah.
I like giving them the option, and I always like when my players try to negotiate. I'm always open to that. So it does help, or I can. Yeah, trying to weave it in. It's not always easy. I'm not saying that I manage all the time, but I do think it's probably a little bit easier with Candela, because the point is the story. So if they didn't open the wardrobe where the big monster was hiding, I can just have the big monster open the wardrobe. Yeah, that's it.
I've noticed that with I've been running D&D 5e for 5 or 6 years. And I've recently, and I'll run loads of one shots, and I'll pick up one-page RPGs, but I'm moving into other systems. Like, I'm running a Monster of the Week campaign here on D8 Dungeon, and even just in the episode we had on Monday, it was Monday. Yeah, thanks, Ben. It was Monday. They're arriving into a new town. They're looking for answers. They're looking for. They know they have to go here. And then, so I've written the diner. There's a sheriff. There's a cool teen who's going to be like in the car park. And then I stupidly said, and I just reminded them, I made a line about like how they've been in the van and they can hear on the radio that like the police, it's moved from just like local police to now it's a federal issue. And then they were immediately, well, we can't go to town because like we've got like the feds are looking for us. And I was like, well, it's the 80s and you were fairly nondescript. Just don't go in with the van called Princess. And you might be able to blag it, like, it's supernatural rules. Like, you can go in and go, oh, those guys, that we're not those guys, we're these guys. But they were like hell set on, we can't get caught because this is we'll get arrested, and we think the police are involved in this thing that's happening. So they were like, okay, we're gonna drive through the town and we're gonna try and find the camp ourselves. And I was like, shit, I have. Okay, there's a sign for a bait and tackle shop. It's run by a guy called Ray, who I'm now pulling out of the ether. And I'm gonna, like, because I don't want Ray to be those 3 characters combined into one. Ray needs to be unique, but he has to have some connection to the thing to get you back on the track. And yeah, I'm a big fan of a system where I feel like if that was in D&D, I would have probably have tried to find a way to let them into town. That like, it's the guards don't recognize you because the poster drawings are real bad. So, so on you go into town and there's been no consequences for it. Whereas I set that up and they were like, well, we can't do that. So I was like, you can. I promise I won't arrest you in the town.
It's tough without breaking face to be like, because if they're like, we drive through, it's like there's a stop check. You have to get out, and it feels really railroady because you're like, you have to explore this town. But it is, you're right with D&D, because you can kind of go, well, hearing this, and players don't find it very satisfying, I don't think, where it's like, okay, they go through town, it's like, where's the information we need? Back in town where I said it was 20 minutes ago, of course. And it's, suddenly you're trying to move those NPCs into like, well, the other people who happen to be run out of town, because they're for, you know, suddenly you give them all crimes that it's like, yeah, they left 10 too because the feds are in 10. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Cool
Why
keys
are
on
they?
your
Yeah,
van.
yeah. This guy was smoking some of the devil's cabbage, so he's left 10. And, but it's tough. It's so tough to either put it somewhere in a way that players feel like they've organically come across it, where it's just like, well, actually, because you went through 10, you've come across this shady little shack of a place where like no do-gooders are going to be. And they're like, oh, thank God we didn't stop in 10. We never would have found these people. And as a DM, you're like, yes, of course, thank God. I didn't just supplant them. I'm just, they're here now. And that feels like Candela has enough flexibility but boundaries in place for reveals anyway, or for those kind of things. And of course, because inherent in the system is if I pick this up right, it's like you're members of a secret organization. So it's like there is the tools at your behest to be able to like get to the places you need. The whole premise is like, don't draw attention to yourself. So it's like you don't have to be too worried, I think, about like the situation Declan's bringing up here, or other situations that fall out of it, like, well, we really need to get this 10 on our side, so we're going to get that big speech. It's like you're contained to your team, and the NPCs are only ever going to be here as victims or perpetrators.
Yeah, there is that. And for like to go back to the things, to bring in the cool things, I think that's really fun to do as well. For like thing that's not something that's not essential to the plot is also describe it, but the players don't see it. Especially for scary things. It's like, oh yes, you went through that maze very, very easily, perfect. You all rolled super high, and here's what you don't see, and you describe the horrors that they avoided.
Yes,
It is also really, really fun to do. But yeah, you do have that flexibility to bringing things and to give yourself permission to kind of tweak things. I guess that is a bit harder to find in a pre-written D&D campaign. Although you can always with D&D, you can always add things, and I certainly do add things for the players. As I said, it's my third time rolling Call of the Netherdeep. I have three very different experiences. So, but yeah, you definitely do have that flexibility built in a bit more to a point, if that's what you enjoy. But yeah, you also have to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, and it can be an uncomfortable spot because you can kind of feel like, you know, often sometimes the advice is like, if you find yourself without anything else to do, call a session there and like give yourself time to think. It's like, yeah, but what if that's 5 minutes in? Like,
that's it.
Like...
I think the big advice for Candela that I would give in this situation: ask the players. Like, oh, what's in that room? You haven't prepped that room. Okay, you tell me. It's not that I haven't prepped it. Of course, it's just that I'm giving you the spotlight. It's just not that I have not absolutely thought of that. It's just, what do you think is happening? Or, oh, you failed that roll and you haven't thought of a consequence. Well, what do you think happens to cause you to take 2 body marks? It's just gonna give them back the spotlight. And
often other players will also chime in as well, where it's like, I can tell them what happens. It's like, I know how they're going to be hoisted by their own petard. So it's a nice tool, and I think I quite like games where before you sort of enter as your characters, collectively the table does a little bit of like scene painting and like adds the weather, adds this, adds that, and especially where there's some actual plays and some podcasts are very good at this because I think they just naturally built themselves in. But if there's a crowd of people, or if there's a sort of rabble of something, everyone at the table will kind of throw in a little comment and then slip back into character to kind of make it feel like we just painted a little scene and now we're back in.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I think that those little elements also help with the mystery building, because it's like often if there is an answer, it's something I actually disliked with Brindlewood Bay, where it's like, and you solve it and you're like, okay, so the answer was this, and they're like, I don't know, comes down to a dice roll. And I'm like, I wanted there to be an answer. I wanted there to be definitively an answer to this puzzle, and for me to logically figure it out, not just like, and I won because of a dice roll. But it feels like Candela has the right balance there, which is the why might be slightly flexible, because it's like, oh, because this guy met this guy and handed over to this thing and this organization got involved. But the actual like why behind the why, the DM knows. So it's like, they were trying to ultimately achieve this aim. And it might not be those exact people, or it might not be in that exact order of things, but it feels like a mystery solved. that's one of the big positive reviews I've heard about it, is that it's so hard to play like intelligence-based games when you have your own player's intelligence, and you're like, how do I role play as like a Sherlock Holmesian character when I do not have the super genius of Sherlock Holmes? And Candela seems to have that sort of built in to give you that feeling without overly like spoon feeding it to you, I suppose.
That's it. Again, the player's intelligence and the GM's intelligence. Like, I may be a writer, but I'm not a crime fiction writer. I'm not, it's just, it does allow me to, of course, I have to bring some thought into it, but I don't have to have every little nitty-gritty detail down to a T. It can be flexible. And as I mentioned, this setting is so wide. There's so many layers. There's so many different things you can do, different kinds of horror. Like I did folk horror for the dungeon drive, which I had never done before, and I loved it. And you can do ghosts, you can do creatures, you can monster of the week kind of thing. You can do something that's more based in the society. You can have your scientists. There's so much you can do, and it's a setting, it's 3 years after the end of a huge war, so that has its after effect as well, and the technology that's in a boom. There's so many different things. So if you like horror, because of course at the core, it'd be hard to do it without doing it horror. There's so many different things you can do with it. It's really cool.
I'm really excited to get an opportunity to play. The only reason it's one of those things I always feel, it's like, oh, I can't wait to play this. And it's like, it's only me getting my own way, schedules and stuff like that. I'm sure if I wanted to play this like tomorrow night, I could find a game somewhere.
I could run a game. Maybe, well, not tomorrow night. I'm running my Call of the Dead Leap. Not tomorrow night. But
nice. Yeah, we should do, and I'm going to sign up for that game at VentureCon as well. I'm going this year as a guest, and maybe I'll do some panel stuff. But I'm trying to keep myself light. I have we're coming up to our kind of, usually we try to keep the show an hour, and by that we normally run over. But we are at a kind of tidy hour mark. I had one more question for you that's not to do with Candela Obscura, which is, as someone looking to play different systems and looking to try out new games, is there anything that's on your to be played list that you're excited to give a go, or do you have anything kind of sitting there on your shelf that you're like, I've heard about this system?
I want to play and GM more Daggerheart for sure.
Right,
I have the premium edition. It's just I want to do more Daggerheart. I would love to do more Star Trek, because I played it at VentureCon last year and it was such an amazing experience. I'd love to try some Blades in the Dark. One that I'd really like to try, because I love the comics, is Die. I love the comics so much, and I'd really, if I could try that. Discworld also, so I have and pretty much just also the randomness of just showing up at a con. That looks fun. Let's sign up for this, and don't know the system. Let's just try and see how it goes. It's always exciting. There's so many
for
different
sure.
things.
Declan, do you have any questions?
No, but I'm sitting here going, okay, I want to run that game. I want to be in that game. This is going to sound terrible, and I regret signing up to GM 3 games at AdventureCon again this year, but because now I'm cut for time to play these games.
This is why I didn't sign up to run games.
And you had said this to me ages ago, and then I don't know. I love those mugs. So
I never collect mine. I never it's like every year I've gone, I never go and get it. And I always the organizer always like, Ben, it's not you just ask for one. And I'm like, no, it's too much. I just can't possibly ask for swag. I couldn't do it. So every year I see people post about their mugs, I'm like, I don't have any. And I'm such a little coward where I'm like, I don't want to go up. You seem busy. I'm not going to bother you for them. Because then I'm revealing how desperately I want a mug, and that feels it's a mug, but I do want it.
I wasn't able to go. I wasn't able to attend AdventureCon this year because my husband selfishly booked a trip for us for my birthday as a surprise and got the dates wrong. So I don't have a mug from this year, and I'm really, really upset about that. So hopefully there's some from last year there this year for next year. But I love those mugs. I'm sorry. This is gone. Let's talk about Candela Obscura. Declan really wants one of those mugs from AdventureCon.
They're good mugs, to be fair.
Good
I'm looking forward to. I think that's probably where we'll see each other next in person, Amélie. Probably at AdventureCon next February. I don't think I'm.
There's also if you're going to GaleCon, I'll be at GaleCon and I'll be running Candela Obscura there. I don't know when yet, but I'll be running one game, which would be the same one that I ran at last AdventureCon. But yeah, also those are the two big ones that I've planned. And yeah, AdventureCon I'll run one more Candela Obscura. That'd be normally the Sunday night one, which I kind of like the evening time, and I'll also run one D&D in Irish, so that'll be fun.
Yes,
amazing.
Yeah. It'll be super fun. Where can people find you online? What can they expect from you when they find you online? Anything aside from those cons coming up that you want to plug?
Just Instagram, game_master_Amélie without the accent, unfortunately. And yeah, you can expect things. Mainly me plugging the games I'm in, or plugging other people's games and other people's projects, and occasional pictures of cats, because I have I also have a beautiful cat who's unfortunately was too busy at the moment cuddling someone else to come and disrupt me. Yeah, I know.
It's fair. Yeah. This is what it is. Well, with that, I think that's Declan. I think we did a professional tidy episode.
No, we're 9 minutes over.
Aside from that, like 9 minutes is pretty good.
That's normal. That's actually like, yeah, that's good for us. That's good.
Yeah, like discounting my bad spin at the start and the wrong buttons. I think we pulled it off.
Dare I say it? Yeah.
Well, then I suppose we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. In 2 weeks' time, Declan, that's the night before we re-record the Romancing Dungeon finale.
Stop saying it, because I've done nothing. I've literally done nothing.
You know, finales you don't have to do. Finales all player, baby. You don't have to worry about anything.
Your
prep is done. You leave it all to us. You leave it. We'll finish the story for you. Do not worry.
No. I actually don't think I need any of you for it. I'll just do all the voices myself.
I genuinely think that's true. I think you'd much rather run an epilogue where it's just you than have us mock up a carefully laid plan.
Ever after.
Just write the lines for them, and they can just read the lines.
Yeah.
Read these with feeling. Okay.
So maybe there's not an episode just for Headspace, but maybe there is. But we'll be back in either 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Probably talking more kind of Halloween themed or spooky themed or thriller themed. We'll just kind of keep a loose theme for the next couple of weeks. But if there's anyone live we want to jump into a raid,
I will. Yes. Yep. There's a couple.
Huge thanks for everyone for watching along. Thanks for all the questions. We have Cat Watch on the line. We do know where your cat is, Amélie. Currently next to werewolves.
Yeah, werewolves. That's yep. I know, traitor. The cat.
Yeah, that's it for us. So.
That's it for us this
round. We're gonna raid Geekly Inc. Right after this.
Bye. Thanks,